Mark Crossfield here with Golf Online, and today we're talking new world number one. It's Dustin Johnson, and what makes this man the player that he is. So Dustin Johnson, new world number one, winning last night. The next player next to him was, I think, 12 under. Thomas Pieters joint second maybe in there, I think. Great to see a new world number one. I love to see that spot changing around. It just keeps everyone hungry, keeps everyone fighting, I always think. Jason Day in the press this morning already saying he wants to take that spot back. So first question to you, how much does it mean to him? Post those comments down below. How much does being world number one mean really to these players? It's often talked about how many majors and what have you they win. World number one, how often do we look at that number? Who is it? Where those stats are? How much do you think it means to them? So we're going to take a little look at some of the stats from this year already, talking about Dustin Johnson's game. Now I'm starting here, PGAtour.com, great site for looking at the stats. And if we look at scoring averages for the year, 20 rounds at the moment, 68.95 is Jordan Spieth with the lowest scoring average. Now I'm scrolling down. There's Zach Johnson, he is 8th, 69.664. And there's Dustin Johnson, 22nd. He's averaging 70.13. Obviously that'll change, it's very early season, but I think there lies a first kind of clue of what Dustin Johnson is about. He has big weapons. And often for golfers, when they have big weapons is when they're firing. Things like yesterday happened, wins by X amount of shots. But when they're not firing, the courses will feel very small. So he is number 2 in driving distance. And you can't talk about just Dustin Johnson without talking driving distance. It's a massive part of his game. So at the moment, 18 rounds played, he's averaging 314 yards off the tee. That is huge. Now let's take it back a few years. If we go back to 2013, Dustin Johnson, 305 yards with 71 rounds played. 2015, Dustin Johnson, 317 yards. 75 rounds played, number 1. 2011, so going way back, he is 3rd driving distance, 72 rounds played, 314 yards. So he's always there, those long drives, he's always sending them out there. And that is a real asset. It's very simple understanding. If he is hitting a 6-iron into a hole and another player is hitting a 4-iron, you give him enough goes, the 6-iron is generally going to hit closer than the 4-iron. There is your super low week, your super low winning rounds. When everything is firing with DJ, he's going to be hard to beat. Other players have proven this in the past. Jack Nicklaus, very long for his time, and probably still is if he wasn't obviously at the age he's at. Tiger Woods moved driving distances on, changed Augusta with his wins and the way they were looking at that golf course. Rory McIlroy also steaming out the blocks, hitting the ball a long way. We all know on the PGA Tour, it's a massive asset. So let's look at putting. Dustin Johnson, we have to scroll down. This is on strokes gained in putting. Dustin Johnson is, scrolling, 31st. So he is still gaining 0.559 on the field with his putting. So he's still gaining on the putting. He's certainly not giving putts back to the field. He's not your number one. Your number one putts for strokes gained at the moment. Wait for it. It's going to shock you. Go on, post a comment. Who is it, do you reckon? Who is strokes gained putting this year after 12 rounds? He's gaining 1.446 on average. It's Adam Scott. So DJ isn't the best putter in the world on strokes gained, but he is still gaining. So he gains in those distances, he'll gain on approach shots because he's hitting less in, and he's still making gains on the field with his putter. Not the biggest gains, but still is. There lies your chances of some massive victories. He's not giving strokes back to the field. He's gaining on each section. So tee to green, this is the big one. Dustin Johnson, number 1 strokes gained, tee to green. 18 rounds, he is averaging strokes gained 1.325 tee to green. That is a massive advantage. Now, other big factors that we see with DJ, I think, is his personal life has been sorted out. Hopefully, he seems to be in a happier place, which is great to see. That's always going to have an effect on players as their life changes. You got to remember with players, I always kind of associate it a bit more to like a rock band. Those first albums, they're singing about poverty, first loves, those kind of things. They hit it big, make millions. Them singing about poverty, first love, life on the streets, any of that kind of stuff doesn't really wash with the audience anymore so well. So it's hard for them to keep developing good albums. And it's a little bit the same with tour pros. Do you want to go out and practice and grind every day, get your level of hunger out there when you've got a lot of money in the bank, a good family life? So finding that balance, I think, is a key factor for golfers, as it is for any kind of profession in life. One of the best players who achieved this through through history has to be Jack Nicklaus. And I think that's why records still show him as the best player who ever lived. A fantastic off-course and on-course life, or certainly that's the one we get from the media of him. And I'm sure in his media days where it's a little less media mental, it's true to what was happening in his life. He seems to be a very content person, family and home. I think that's a massive asset for any golfer. Traveling the world, going to some of the most exclusive places in the world, having everything they want thrown at them, you need to be able to deal with that. So world number one, Dustin Johnson, will he stay world number one for the rest of the year? Will he be able to win more majors? That's the big thing we've got to wait and see. There is still this talk about him struggling a little bit at the weekend, even though he's winning every year he's been out on tour, but we have seen some collapses in the past, so it'd be interesting to see how that develops. But again, I think with the game he's got, I'm not sure it's anything to do with the weekend, he is just going to blow hot and cold. It's just when he's hot, there ain't going to be many people who can touch him. So swing-wise with Dustin Johnson, it's great to see a world number one having what we would call an incorrect grip and also having a very poor position at the top. Very bowed wrist, what people would call closed club face. It's interesting. I think it opens up the debate that I've been trying to having online for years now, that you don't need to follow correct, you just need to follow functional. And when it comes to functional, Dustin Johnson's figures, his bank balance, all show that he's very, very functional. Maybe a great lesson for more golfers trying to practice perfect and get out there and lower their scores. Post those comments down below. Remember, on world number one, this has been the 360 show with Golf Online. See you soon. Thanks for watching.